So for this photographic process, you're coating your paper with photosensitive chemistry. So you need to make sure you're in a dark place, because if it's exposed to light before you're actually exposing your photo, it won't work. So if you have a dark room, use that. If you don't have a dark room, use your nearest closet. So you're going to want to make sure that your darkroom is an area that's like closed in and it doesn't have any windows in it or a place that a bunch of light is going to get in. You can use a safe light, which is like an amber or a red light so you can see while you're working. If you don't have that, I like to keep the door kind of cracked, but you're going to have the lights off while you're working in here. So some of the materials you're going to use, most importantly, you have your cyanotype chemistry. So there's part A and part B, which is potassium ferricyanide and ferric ammonium citrate. And you're going to mix that with distilled water. And so next you're going to need a foam brush to coat your paper with the chemistry. And I found that the wider the brush, the better. So you have like less streaks on your paper while you're coating. Then you have your actual contact frame. So my prints are about 9 by 11 inches, so my frame is 16 by 20. So I have my glass covering, and it's really important that you keep the tape on the edges so you don't cut your fingers. And then you have the wooden frame. So this is just a piece of wood that I covered with black felt, and the wood is maybe like a ½ inch thick, and it can be a little bit thinner than that, but you want it to be substantial so that it won't warp. And the felt is so that when you put the paper on it, it's got a little bit of traction, so it's not going to move around a lot while you're trying to make your print. And the way that you're going to do this is you're going to cover your piece of wood in felt, and as you can see, I've stapled all of the sides, making sure that when I staple it, it's very taut, so this is a pretty smooth surface for my paper to sit on. So then next we have 4 clamps, and these are pretty simple, and so that's going to make sure when you're doing your print, you're going to have your contact frame and you're going to close it like that, so there's a really tight seal and you get the best contact you can with your print. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to mix the chemistry. So I have part A, which is potassium ferricyanide, and part B, which is ferric ammonium citrate, and these combined is enough to bake about 65 8 by 10 prints. So I have a bottle of distilled water here, and you're just going to want to fill it up to the top. So you want to shake these for about a minute to give them some time to mix together, and then set them aside overnight. So y'all are going to be doing this in your darkroom, but I'm doing this with the lights on just so y'all can see. So I have my part A and part B, and I'm going to take a capful of each one to mix it into a bowl. So then I have one sheet of paper here, and I'm just going to liberally apply it. So I'm going to do a coat horizontally, and then go vertically. So then this piece is done, and you're going to wait for it to dry overnight as well. So now it's time for us to make our actual print. So I've cleaned off my glass with glass cleaner, and I have my contact frame, my 4 clamps, my negative, and in here I have my paper. So again, you're going to want to do this in your darkroom, but for our purposes we're going to do it out here. So take my paper, and then I'm going to line it up directly with the negative. So then I'm going to place the glass right on top of it so it's lined up, and then put a clamp on each side of this. So this is going to create a tight seal so we get a nice contact and a precise print. Now we're ready to go. Okay, so I've placed it here so it's facing where the sun is coming, and so I'm going to time it for about 4 minutes. You can go like 4 to 6 minutes depending on the sunlight, so we're just going to sit here and wait on that. Okay, so we can tell it's done because it's reached kind of like a goldenish tone and it's gotten kind of browner and like a deeper blue. So now we're gonna take it over to the wash station and wash it for about 5 minutes and then we're gonna be done. This is kind of what we got first. And we're gonna put it in here and then agitate it. So you're gonna move it around for a little bit. Just make sure that you're only touching the edges and you're not touching the face of the actual print, or else it'll mess up your image. So as you can see, the water's kind of changing color, and that's from the excess chemistry that's washing off right now. Great, so now our 5 minutes is up. Our print is washed, and we just put it over here to dry. So now we're just gonna sit and let it dry, and as it dries, the chemistry will darken, so your image will become more clear and be more saturated. So that's it. That's how you cyanotype.